Thank you for joining us live here at St. Thomas Missionary Baptist Church for our Women's Roundtable discussion. In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we're all wearing this beautiful green ribbon, and we thank you for joining us. We thank you for taking part in our entire Mother's Day weekend. We're so excited this week of Mother's Day, of honoring all of the women of St. Thomas Missionary Baptist Church and all of our surrounding churches and friends. Tonight, we have a special treat for you. We have 8 panelists who will be discussing physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and wealth. And yes, tonight we're gonna laugh and just girl chat and have a whole lot of fun. So we ask you to sit back in your homes and relax on your couches and laugh and enjoy with us. Tonight, joining us on stage, we have first Dr. Kay Sly. She grew up at St. Thomas Missionary Baptist Church community. Her profession is clinical psychologist. She went to Tougaloo College, Southern Illinois, and she majored in general clinical psychology. Currently, she works as an associate professor of psychology at the Jackson State University. Let's give it up for Dr. Kay. Next on our panel, we have Christiane Thomas Williams, who is in law enforcement corrections for over 25 years. She has extensive training in all aspects of law enforcement and correction. She is a certified law enforcement with an educational background in criminal justice. She's also active in behavioral health, community law, a certified mental health first aid public safety instructor for adults and for youth. We thank Christiane Thomas for joining us this evening. Next, joining us on our panel, we have none other than Pastor Veretta Renee Allen Nesby. We thank her for joining us. Pastor Nesby was born in Brandon, Mississippi, to Deacon J.P. and Mrs. Hattie McKee Allen, who are now deceased. She's the eldest of 2 siblings. At the age of 13, she accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. She's a product of Jackson Public School District, and upon graduating from Lanier High School, she attended the Jackson State University and Howard University, where she studied nursing. Tonight, we're so excited to have her on our panel. Next, we have none other than the Lady Debbie McGee, who is the visionary of our awesome women's ministry here at St. Thomas Missionary Baptist Church. She is a speaker, a ministry leader, and a published author. Lady Debbie attended Hines Community College in Raymond, Mississippi, where she earned a AA degree in marketing management and merchandising. She continued her studies at the University of Nebraska. She was cum laude graduate, earning a BS degree in Human Services and Family Sciences. Lady Debbie serves here at St. Thomas as our Women Ministry Coordinator, where she shares her gifts in teaching and facilitating women's Bible studies and conferences. She has an awesome teaching style that captivates the hearts of many as she uses her hands crafted to design, bringing the essence of the message to life. Lady Debbie McGee is married to none other than Reverend Darrell L. McGee Sr. Let's welcome Lady Debbie McGee. Next on our panel, we have Dr. Tamora Thomas. She's a licensed clinical mental health therapist. Dr. Thomas has 2 adult daughters, 1 grandson, and worked in behavioral health field for over 40 years as a mental health therapist, a consultant, and a director of services. She is known for developing, implementing, and sustaining programs. Ladies, let's welcome Dr. Tamora Thomas. Next on our panel, we have Carla Carey Williams. Carla Williams Carey. I know her as Carla Williams, but Carla Williams Carey. Carla Carey was born in Clinton, Mississippi. Her parents are Harriet and the late Paul Williams. She is married to Daryl Carey, and they have 5 lovely children together. Carla is a graduate of Mississippi College with a BS in psychological and continued education in elementary ed. She has taught in public and private schools for over 25 years. Carla is a published poet and a visual artist. Her poems, Out from the Garden and A Heart Left Hanging, and He Came on a Mission. She was also featured in the International Who's Who of Poetry as an honor. Let's welcome Miss Carla Carey. Next, we have one of our seasoned mothers of our church, Sister Shirley Burns. She resides in Clinton, Mississippi. She's a graduate of Sumner Hill High School. She earned her BS and her MS degree from the Jackson State University, and she is a born-again Christian. She received the NAACP Community Service Award in 1992 from New Horizon Baptist Church. She's a lifetime member of St. Thomas, where she serves as the Director of Christian Education. Let's welcome Sister Shirley Burns. Lastly, but not least, our wonderful moderator for this evening, Sister Beverly Luckett. Beverly Luckett was born in Bolton. She's a native there. She has a total of over 32 years of television, broadcast news, and public relations experience. The award-winning journalist has served as a former news director, a main anchor, a senior legislative crime and general assignment reporter. She has won numerous awards for her outstanding work in journalism and public relations. Sister Luckett is currently the Director of Public Relations for the Canton Public School District. She's married to Dwight Luckett Sr., and they are proud parents of 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. We now turn it over to our moderator, Sister Beverly Luckett.
Good evening, I'm Beverly Luckett, and we are so excited that you have joined St. Thomas Missionary Baptist Church for our Women's Roundtable discussion. Now, we have heard so much from you, and we want to talk tonight about what's important to you, what's most important. We have all been living through some unprecedented times as this global pandemic has affected all of our families in one way or another. As we have our Girl Talk, our panel of experts and friends will discuss everything from mental, physical, and spiritual health to how to prevent women from just feeling overwhelmed from the everyday demands of our challenging and busy lives. So God says His grace is sufficient and His power is made perfect in our weakness. So tonight I want to encourage everyone to come confidently and boldly to His throne to receive His grace and mercy in all of the problems that we face in our lives. And right now, one of those problems we've been facing is the pandemic. Mississippi has had over 7,000 COVID-related deaths, 7,000, and over 300,000 cases of the coronavirus. So this is a serious problem, and we want to talk a little bit about what that has caused in our families. We've had some people cannot pay their mortgages, they haven't been able to meet their rent, or have not been able to place food on the tables of their families, maybe perhaps lost their jobs. So that has created perhaps depression in some families. So tonight we want to start out talking about depression and how we can cope with it, what some people, many in the African American community sometimes are reluctant to seek help. But tonight we want to talk about this so you can get the help that you need. We want to start out tonight with Dr. Tamora Thomas to start out telling us what can people do to cope with this.
I recommend a self-care plan composed of positive thoughts and positive experiences, recognizing the things that you cannot change, And I also recommend balancing COVID-19 updates with fun activities like reading, writing, exercising and walking. And I recommend that people try to avoid negative thoughts and think about positive experiences.
Talk to us a little bit more about that, Dr. Kay Sly.
Okay. First of all, I agree with everything Dr. Thomas said, but I also, but I want to add that it's important to, with the limitations that we had, to do as much as you can. Mm-hmm. For example, don't sit at home and just think about being depressed. Yes. As much as you can, go outside, get some fresh air. The sunshine always makes you feel better. If you sit and you just think about being depressed, you will become even more depressed. As much as you can, I know they've told us we have to isolate. But if you have a network of friends, reach out to that network of friends. That's right. Try to keep in contact with other people because you know how they say misery loves company? Yes. But happiness loves sunshine and people. So reach out.
That's right.
Yes. I would like to add to treat yourself, to do something nice for yourself. Take your breaks. And treat yourself with compassion like you would do a friend, a mother, and look out for yourself.
That's right.
Would you like to add anything?
It's nothing ever wrong with us ladies having a little retail therapy.
Right.
I think that, that seems to kind of get us out of any kind of mood that we might be in. We start out little window shopping, and next thing, but I've found, with a little sense, sometimes, little retail therapy, it kind of, but that helps. It really helps. It really does. But when we talk about self-care, just having that judgment-free zone,
right.
Letting people know, hey, I got a group of friends, I'll call them and say, look, Tanya, I'm in my feelings. If she say this, she'll be like, you call my name. And she was like, what you in your feelings about?
Right.
And it's to what I used to have this thing with my son, and as he got older, we got away from him, we got to get back, what we call at the table, where you lay everything down at the table, and you walk away feeling like, okay, I done put it out there, and somebody really understand where I'm coming from. And those are very important things, and like I shared earlier, having that opposite sex, male friend, that you're going to probably get some of that raw, because they don't know how to word it the way we would do it, but you get that raw information that you need. I mean, you need not what you want to hear, but really what you need to hear at that moment.
And that retail therapy might be good for us ladies. I can see our male spouses having some little need of therapy after we come home with that big bill. But that's always a great way to relieve stress.
Yes.
Run up a bill.
Amazon has helped me relieve a lot of stress.
You can do simple things and do something different.
Yes. Treat yourself. Because a lot of times women, we take care of everyone else,
Exactly.
but we're the last on the list.
Exactly.
So that's so important.
Exactly.
But talk about a little bit about grief. We've been having grief during this pandemic. We've lost, some have lost their spouses, friends, children, neighbors. And talk a little bit, Lady Debbie, about how can we cope with this grief and deal with it?
Well, as we talked about with the family, with depression and whatnot, I believe our families too can be a good support system while we're going through, grief as well. And a lot of prayer, and just standing together and supporting one another, because we all know what grief feels like. Yes. So we can all identify in helping, our loved one or someone that's going through grief, to cope with the crisis that's going on. So,
Pastor Nesby?
Yes, ma'am. As we're going through grief right now, Monday we had a death, Sunday we had a death, and allowing yourself time to grieve is really, really important. But most importantly, surrounding yourselves with your family, making sure that you try to get that self-care in along with that, because it can turn into depression as well, going through the grief. I've been through that before. So it's really important that we really have close friends, people that we can count on, people we can trust, people you can let your hair down,
Yes.
and you
That's
don't
so
have
important.
to be as poised.
That's
You
right.
you know what I mean? So,
Sister friends.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I was going to say, don't forget to reach out to your church family.
That's right.
There's always someone in the church that can help you, and you may even have that group that's already prepared to reach out to you. So always reach out to the church families.
So important. You know, it's been so much going on in our world. We've been dealing with pandemic. We've been dealing with, you know, police violence. What do we do to pray over our children? Because sometimes we take it for granted that they're here with us, but when they walk outside of that door, we never know what could happen on the other side of that door, whether we will see them return home. So what would you say to pray over your children, or how do you guys deal with the social ills that are occurring right now in our society?
I can start with, I say, because I have a 19-year-old son.
Yes.
And just last week, I get this phone call, Mama, what you doing? And I'm like, that's not a good sign. I was like, what's wrong?
Right.
Well, the police stopped me. I am a law enforcement, so my heart kind of like, oop. But then I said, okay, well, he's talking to me, so
Right.
nothing happened. So I went through the process. He said, you know, I got a citation. He said a ticket. I said, okay, you have a citation. So he was, you know, just going through. So automatically, with everything that has happened, I automatically was saying, I was praying to myself, I hope you did everything I have tried to teach you
Right.
to do. But just to fast forward, I'm one of those parents, being in the field, I called the officer because I wanted to know, it was more of a corrective action with him, what happened. But my biggest concern was with the officer, what was his demeanor? And that officer said, to be honest, ma'am, he was one of the most respectful teenagers I have ever encountered.
Wow.
So at that point, okay, I knew Mama didn't have to get stick.
That's
But
right.
it's just important that we just be very open and upfront with our kids about what's going on. With me working in the criminal justice aspect and the mental health part, he constantly, or I always try to make sure I talk to kids and tell them the what if. You know, my biggest thing is do not argue with a law enforcement person.
That's right,
On
that's
the
right.
side of the road.
That's what I wanted you to go through. Tell us how, when they're approached by the police officer, what's the procedure they should go through?
One of the things I've always told my son, and even we did our youth conference at our church, our home church, if you're driving, put your identification, insurance, somewhere visible.
Yes.
Whether it's over the overhead, if you got your driver's license, don't put them in your pocket. I mean, I know that's a habit, but start putting it, put it where you can easily access it. When the officer comes to your vehicle, if it's more than you in the vehicle, nobody should be moving around.
That's right.
Put all hands should be visible automatically. If the officer asks you something, and if you need to get your wallet or whatever, make sure that you tell him first, officer, may I get my wallet? Or I have, you know, my driver's license is sitting up over, you know, over here, may I reach up and get it? So those are just some of the important things, but everything, answer it direct, yes sir, no sir, and not why you stopped me, what am I doing, my rights. We all know we have rights. Get back home safe.
That's right.
And let us, you know, because I'm quite sure if something happens, Sister Debbie gonna call Christine and say, hey.
Well, I got something to add to that because my daughter was pulled over one time and she was doing the right things. And she told the officer, I'm about to reach to the glove compartment to get my registration. And you know what he told her? You watch too much television. So it's like, what do you do? So my thing is what I do, because you never know when they go out there. Some police officers are good and some of them are not so good. So how do we prepare our children? Because we can prepare them and tell them all day, but different scenarios and different things happen. So on the spiritual side of it, I don't never wake up in the morning without saying, Lord, please cover my children with the blood of Jesus, with the blood of Jesus. And we pray and we plead the blood and we cover them. And every time I've done that, my children would come home and say, Mom, what could have happened, or this could have happened, or that could have happened. And our prayer lives as moms, putting them before the Lord, and because we never know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis when they walk out that door. So like I said, we can prepare them every day, but scenarios and different things, is different from a day-to-day basis. But I know God is the same all the time.
That's right. And a lot of times, the saying my husband always says is, you might be right, but you don't want to be dead right. So you can do what you need to do while you're there. Do all the proper things while you're face to face with the officer, and later, if there's a problem, we'll deal with it in court.
Yes, yes.
But you want to get home alive.
That's
That's
right.
your goal.
That's right.
When you are encountering, someone that they don't know you. They're also trying to protect themselves.
Yes.
Because
They're afraid too.
They're afraid a lot of times, and sometimes afraid unnecessarily, but regardless, you don't want to be dead right.
Right.
I would say this too, just to add, with our kids now and modern technology, I've told my nieces, nephews, son, or whatever, if the police pull you over, start recording. Not take the phone, but if you have to pick the phone up and call somebody, whether it's mom, whoever it is, just say, look, Mom, the cops have stopped me on I-20 and exit, whatever it is, Spring Ridge exit, and just say, and just lay the phone down. At that point, you have somebody else there that's witnessing what's going on if you feel that way. But if you're in a dark area, always, and I'll tell anybody, if we saw the officer that was up in Virginia, but especially females, put your blinkers on. Let that officer know behind you, hey, Officer Williams, I know you are behind me, but I need to get in a well-lit area. And therefore, if you go to court and the officer with that person, I didn't say speed now. I say put your blinkers on. Put your blinkers on and just let them know. And then if you pull into the gas station, if the officer say, why didn't you stop? Well, sir, I needed to get in a well-lit area. And if you got me on the phone as your mama, more than likely I'm in my car headed to you anyway to try to see about you. But those are just some of the precautions that I would tell any, especially teenagers just starting to drive. If you're going to get stopped by the cop, it's going to happen.
Well, it's so disheartening, and I'm going to move on, but it's so disheartening to see the various cases across the country where, people have done everything they could, the right thing, and it still has ended in a tragedy. So a lot of times we're just frustrated wondering, what is it that we can do to stay safe? But we still hold close to those basic things that you mentioned, to always be respectful, to do the right things, put your hands where they can see you, and just, try to stay prayed up, mothers.
Yes.
And fathers.
And
right.
teaching your children how to pray.
That's right.
It's important, not just, yes, we pray. The Bible says the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. But also in that, we should train our children and teach them, just as you said, you're telling them how they should react or not to react. But also on the same token, we need to teach them how to pray.
That's right.
And seek God on their behalf.
That's right. Well, now, ladies, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to lighten it up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Y'all ready to lighten it up? We've been dealing with some serious topics, and they all are important. But now we want to have a little fun. And this is Mother's Day weekend. So who comes first, ladies? When the son gets married, who comes first? Is it the mother or the wife?
I'm going to pass the mic.
Somebody reluctantly said the wife. Is that Miss Carrie? Tell us, Miss Carrie.
I did say the wife. I think I was thinking about myself. I mean, because we were my mother-in-law was with us before she passed, and it was difficult because she was going through Alzheimer's, and but I had to be cognizant that she was sick.
Right.
But at the same time, I was a little bit, a little spoiled, a little selfish. But Yeah, my husband reassured, when he would talk to her, he would say, well, Carla is my wife, and, basically I do come first, but the respect was, she is mom, so, I knew to give her respect as my mother-in-law, too.
Tricky balance there.
Yeah.
Any other wives and mothers?
You keep looking at me.
You're just right next to me. It's so
I
natural.
have two wonderful, well, actually, one daughter-in-law and a daughter-in-law to be. Now, I would say that my daughter-in-laws know that their husbands, soon-to-be husbands, love their mom, okay?
They know this.
So we have some boundaries, but I still want a Mother's Day card. I still want some flowers. I know she's first, okay? She's first. I've been with him, with my children, with my boys since they were, little babies, and she only just met him about 5 years ago.
Sounds like she's still working through this.
5 years, maybe 2 years, 4, 5. But I know that the wife goes first. I know she goes first, and I expect that. But I guess, mothers, we have to know our place at that time, because we have mother-in-laws as well, right? Okay, well, we have mother-in-laws. Who can identify with me? Okay, nobody on the panel but me. But we have to have boundaries, and then with that, we just have to know, who's first and which place is whose. We all get along.
And Pastor Nasby, I believe you said your son is about to, did he just get married?
He just got married.
Just got married, so.
Yes, ma'am, this past Saturday.
So tell us about these boundaries.
He just got married.
Congratulations,
Thank
first
you
of
so
all,
much.
for gaining a daughter.
I did. And we make that a point, is that we don't have in-laws. They are our daughter, they're our son, and we are mom and we're pop. Because as my husband said Sunday, in-laws become outlaws. And we don't believe in having any outlaws. So we do embrace Ariel into our family, also knowing that my son is a mother's boy, although they're in Texas, I've had an opportunity to release him and allow him to spread his wings and fly as a young man. Because he's been away from us from some time now. And so I welcome Ariel into the family with our boundaries. We'll see what happens when she comes to Mississippi to visit, And that's gonna be the test when she comes. But no, we've spent some time with her, and not only just her, but with her family. Because we can see, what type of route she's coming from as well. So I think it's a really good thing. Just make sure we have some flowers. And, we need some flowers.
So you gotta, sons, keep taking care of mama.
Exactly.
And there won't be any problems.
No problem.
Well, there are different stages of the mother-daughter relationship. So what would you say would be considered a toxic mother-daughter relationship and one that is a good one? Who wants to talk about that? Sister Burns?
I couldn't do anything without my daughter. I tell you, I have one daughter, and she is just, I miss her. She doesn't, she lives down in Pearl, so I'm a good ways away from her. But I miss her, and I love my daughter, and I think I work her too hard. She does everything for me. She does my computer from home. She comes every Sunday. I love my daughter. She works for me. She calls all the time, so I just wish I had more.
Yes.
Son's all right, but
I was about to say, every mother needs a good daughter, isn't that right?
Yeah, I trade those sons for 4 daughters at a time.
You better not let your son do that.
I agree with you, Mother, because right now, Lauren, I don't know where you are, but you better be in that kitchen getting Queen Bee stuff together. Our daughter will be turning 24 in June, and she's home and working on her master's, and they formed a professional women's basketball team. She's an athlete, and our son is as well. But she is the epitome of her mom. That is my twin. And, but I don't know what I would do without her, She helps me with whatever, with the business. She helps us with ministry. she's just one of those good kids, you know. But the toxic, to your question, I can't be her friend.
That's right.
We can have friendly conversations, and I allow her to be herself and be able to express, you know, herself, no matter what it is that she's going through. But always having that boundary there. And I think if you don't establish those boundaries, you know, I'm not going out and partying with my daughter. Now, we all can go out and party when we leave, you know, but I'm not going to go out and party with my daughter. But in regards to the second portion of that question, having a healthy relationship, one thing I can say is we do have a very healthy relationship. And I tell her all the time, I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what's going on in your relationship. Mom's door is always open.
That's right.
Always feel free to come to me. We can sit down. I can let you vent. You don't have to be starched and poised when you come to me, because I want to know what you're dealing with and what you're going through. And so that has really helped us, along with that prayer that we talked about and that grace that we have right here. You know, that has really helped us in our relationship.
I think that's so important about having that open door.
Absolutely.
And I find with my 12-year-old daughter that I'm sometimes amazed that she will tell me so much, you know. But then we have a great relationship, but then I have to sometimes put the mother hat back on, you know, and say, now wait a minute, you're going too far. You know, so it is important to have those boundaries, but I'm so impressed with the young lady that she's becoming and just being able to talk to me as a friend. So I just think that's so important. And those with sons, we don't want to leave you guys out, so, but Lady Debbie?
Well, I was going to say, I have twin girls before we drop to the sons. My twin girls, and it amazes me how I see myself in both of them. So even when, you know, they do something or they say something, it's like, well, hey, I know how to handle that because I've been through that. That looked just like me when I was your age. So, but, you know, it's been a wonderful journey with my girls, per se. But, you know, I guess the boundary part of it is the hardest for moms sometimes, because we always want to come to our children's rescue. We don't want to see them hurt. We don't want to see them cry, nothing like that. We always want to be there for them. So sometimes, you know, with me, I can just say with me, I have to learn how to just step off just a little bit. And then, you know, okay, call me if you need me. But all on the inside, I'm going, okay, I'm coming, mama coming. But I have to find those boundaries. And as far as my sons, it's a different relationship with them boys.
It's a different world.
Oh my goodness.
What do they say? Men are from Venus and Mars. Is it Mars?
But the boys,
so
you know, they such mama's boys. Now I got my oldest son, he hard, he strong. He ain't gonna let nobody, I'm not a woman's boy. But then he gonna get me when I say this. Mama, what you do? But you know, they love their mothers. And then I have my youngest son. He don't care if you call him a mama's boy because he love his mama. I don't care. Yeah, I love my mama. But you know, it's a different type of relationship where you see them as little boys. When my son went off to the National Guard, I didn't see him in a uniform as a man going to the National Guard. I saw him as my little boy.
Yeah.
I said, my little boy got on that gun, put that gun down. Who you gonna tell my shoot? But that's just how mother sees, and that's how mother's prayers can go so far. They don't all the time see what y'all see. We see our little babies, our little babies just going off and just growing up and before our very eyes, you know. So, you know, just finding that boundary where you can just say, okay, they're grown now. You know, they're grown. I taught them, and now, Lord, it's time for them to go on their own and for them to be the men and women that you have taught them to be, you know, that we have taught them to be. And then, you know, once they make great decisions, we just, oh, Lord, I thank you that they made the right decision. Like, oh, Lord, he was listening, you know, and the things that they do. So it's a blessing.
Even when they storm off and said, oh my God, you're saying that again.
I know.
And then they refer to it and they get it, and you're just like, they were listening.
I know,
It
they
sunk
was
in.
listening.
I said it enough. Well, let's talk about the mother-son relationship. Ms. Williams and any others who have sons that want to jump in.
Well, I'll do mine from raising a son by myself. A lot of people one of the ladies told me one day, you make it look easy. And I was like, no. It's called grace and mercy and some knee pads. But one of the things, it hadn't been an easy journey, but I'm grateful for God placing the people and putting me in a place, and I'm just going to brag on my pastor, that Chauncey Jordan out there at Hill of Zion. You know, he's a jewel. He's a pastor and it's important to have that strong spiritual foundation behind you, or you know, hey, pastor, look, I need to ask you something. You know, I told him one day, I said, Pastor, I almost been the cussing Christian. He said, no, ma'am. He was like, you know, and it was just to be able to talk to your pastor on that level that, you know, when you're so frustrated, you know, what do I do now? You know, one day I was so upset about some things that Kevin was going through and doing as a teenager. And Pastor Jordan was like, why not you? You know, why not you? And I'm looking at him like, you know, kind of side eye, like, what do you mean? Why would you? I'm trying to ask you something. He told me, why not you? But I understood it later on, because what I went through with him prepared me to be at where I'm at now. You know, that I can go out and talk to other parents, or, you know, what's going on when your child going through this and that. They're not going to make the right decision. You know, right now, he's at that point in his life where I'm like my grandmother. I think he's going up a fool's hill. But some come down slow and some come down fast. So, you know, it's one of those times where I had to kind of step back and lean on the men that God had placed around me to say, hey, I need y'all to come, because he's not hearing what mama's saying. That's what we have to do as mothers sometimes, is realize that our kids, our boys, is not gonna be, you know, ain't no woman gonna be telling me what to do. I'm 19 years old. Okay, well, come on, Unc. You gotta talk to him. And that's kind of what I've done. You know, I raised him without a man around to treat a woman the way I wanted to be treated.
That's right.
With the respect, the dignity. And
right.
what that means is mama have to carry herself in a dignified way. I have to be respectful. He have to see me working in the church, and it's not for $1 and on a pole. You know, I'm just, you know, being real with it. My child don't need to be, when I walk into a school, he's shamed because I'm walking around, you know, flip-flops, hot shorts, and a head bonnet. You know, I'm just keeping it real. We can't.
Keep it real, real talk.
We can't expect. We can't expect our sons. And you know, there was a young lady that he kind of dated that he almost sent me into cardiac arrest.
You gonna get it?
Because I wasn't pleased with the way her appearance. So how I did it, I didn't say anything about her. I say, son, do you remember the day you got up for school and I had on some blue jeans and tennis shoes? And your thing was, Mama, you must not be going to work today. But I was actually going to the range. But he watched me so much when I went to work that he knows Mama didn't have on no heels or slacks. You can't be going to work looking like that. And I say, and what I did, what I want you to understand, just like you noticed that, somebody else would notice it too. So you got to be careful what she putting on, because if you hanging out with her and some young man say something to her, then you come and defend her, son, it could be your last breath. And those are the things that we got to make sure we just be kind of. But now that's my soapbox. But
well, I love it when sometimes the parents have to balance, and I know you were talking from the single mother standpoint, but from the parents, two-parent families, sometimes things will get rocky, and the father will, my husband will say, you better get him. And then sometimes I'll say, hold up. He'll say, wait a minute, let me take that or whatever, because, you know, when they go through the teen years and adolescence, you're going to run into all kinds of ups and downs. Nobody is perfect. We weren't perfect. So you have to be able to recognize the stages and like you said, have someone to help you through all those challenges that you're going to face raising children and rearing them to manhood and womanhood. And we just do the best we can with the Lord first, always telling them, put God first. and everything else will fall into place.
Right.
But you start with the best route you could have. And so that's, anyone else want to add anything? Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about, and I hear this a lot from my daughter about whether or not it's fair, this equal rights, the rule between what you give for the brother and the sister, that should they have the same 50-50 chores and standards, because she's like not having this just in the kitchen cooking and cleaning. And I was like, Dad, you have to be careful now not to appear sexist, because brother can get in there and cook. And my dad used to say, hey, his mother told him, God bless a child who has his own. Be able to take care of yourself. Don't wait for a woman. Don't wait. And my mother, oh my God, she was very independent, so she believes in the woman always making their own money. So I try to tell my daughter, have a job, make your own money. Don't rely on someone else to take care of you.
Yes.
If you meet someone and be so lucky to have that, great. If not, be able to take care of yourself. And, but talk to us about that. I'm getting on the soapbox. I'm getting heated. Who wants to take that on? Quiet. Do you think that your children should have equal? Do you have a son and daughter?
Oh, yeah, I have 3 sons and 2 daughters. I have a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
So
do I.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I haven't heard that from them, but I keep going back to myself. When I was younger, I told my mom, it's not fair. Can I go play? I wanted to go down the street and play, and she was like, well, no. I said, well, you let my brother go. My brother done. And she was like, well, he's a boy. And, that bothered me, because I was a tomboy. I wanted to go play football. I wanted to do all that, even though I look like a girly girl right now.
Definitely.
But, I wanted to do all the things that the boys did. So, balance. My children, they don't. I haven't gotten it from them. So they're great kids.
Right.
But now we went through some things. But now they have grown, and now they're wonderful.
Very good. But what do you guys think in general, even if you haven't experienced it personally, should they have 50-50, should the boys be able to cook and clean? And now this part I don't agree with, about girls going out to mow the lawn. Although I see that a lot. I see that a lot in Madison County, and my husband says, oh, you should, don't even try it. I'm not going to go cut the yard. No. I'm just not that person.
Well, I heard it in my household a lot. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. So, of course, my boys are older. And so my girls, they're looking at the boys and they saying, well, they got a chance to, stay out the blah, 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 blah. Why can't I? And it's like, it's a hard question sometimes to answer. You don't want to sometimes always say, because you're a girl, you want them to be able to be responsible, so you try, as case by case as it comes, to help them to understand.
Right.
And then, as far as, the shared responsibilities at home, there's equal rights at our house when it comes to washing dishes and sweeping floors and clean, doing, whatever they need to do. It's equal rights as far as that is concerned. But, I think, sometimes the girls do wonder, how come it's a double standard. Even now today, how come the boys get a chance and we don't, in some things. So, I guess it's just a matter of just explaining to them, whatever, the case may be, whatever the process it is. If it's staying out late, as a parent, you have to ask yourself, well, why do we let the boys stay out later? So we have to come to amends as a parent, and catch ourselves to help ourselves to understand, okay, so then why is there a double standard, when it comes to that, so.
And sometimes with the staying out late, I don't even agree for the boy to
Me
stay out
either.
late. I'm still young in this process of 15 and 12-year-olds, so I haven't experienced everything, but I guess sometimes I'm too strict. But I know you have to have a great balance, because you don't want your children to go the other way, because sometimes you could deal with just, if mom says this, they want to do the opposite. You know, just defiance. You know, they go through the little stages.
Yes, yes.
But anyone else?
I think, I just want to say, you notice in this day and time, girls are taught to do things that boys do. I mean, the girls are climbing the pole, the light poles. The girls are on the highway now working.
That's right.
So we're going to have to let our girls learn how to do things now.
Right.
Because, I don't know, that's where the money is. You know, and they getting those jobs where the money is. And so they are now able to go out and do things. And especially now that they're wanting to get equal pay for what they do, so they're going to have to learn how to do what the boys do. And
There are a lot of opportunities
Yes.
opening up for women, more so today than ever, and we need to keep pushing those boundaries in terms of that. And I guess gearing and steering our children in those areas, but it's a tough act there, trying to figure out the right balance. Dr. Sly?
I was just going to say, sometimes it has to do with who can do the job. You know, I've had friends who were physicians. The wife was the physician, so she made more money. It made more sense that the husband stay at home with the child. But when I said that, I talked to my class about issues like this, and some of them were horrified. And then it's like we start to condition ourselves about a man's role or a woman's role. But I think that we have to get out of that habit, because we need women in STEM. We need women, as Sister Burns said, who climb light poles. I know when I lived in, I used to mow my own yard, and the men were horrified every time they saw me out there. One man came to me and said, "Sister, you shouldn't be out there mowing that yard." I mean, he took it as a personal affront. So I'm all for women and men sharing equal responsibilities.
Well, my cop-out is I told my husband, I said, women in St. Thomas don't mow the lawn. So you're messing me up over there. That's my cop-out. I was like, no, we go outside and everything. They're like, you grew up in the country and I love the outside, but not to mow it. But it is important in all seriousness, it is important to be independent, self-sufficient, and able to take care of yourselves. And I guess with our children, we just have to kind of see what that child is like, because sometimes we have the girly girls. Sometimes we have, girls that want to try everything their brother is doing. Yes. And so you just have to be open to that and and I guess not put these labels and boundaries on them, but just be flexible. Yes. Flexible for what you're dealing with at the time. Well, ladies, let's talk about coping with these hot flashes. Menopause. What are some of the questions we need to ask our doctors when we go, and we can't, and they might just flip you off and not really hear you when you have these problems, and they say, surely, no, you're not going through this, or you're not. How do we get the proper diagnosis and be able to talk to our doctors when we go and get that help? Anybody want to take that one?
I can talk on that.
Okay.
Lord, it's a little warm in here. Well, I was thrusted into menopause, okay, immediately, and but I had hot flashes for several years, even prior to that. So one thing I found in going to the physician's office, because I work in healthcare as well, ask questions. What helps me is doing my research prior to, and I guess that's the nursing background, doing my research prior to, but when going to a physician's office, one of the worst experiences is when they come in, they talk to you, and then they're gone. And so I've talked to several people, when they've had these experiences, and they're like, well, the doctor didn't give me an opportunity. No, you seize your opportunity, because my insurance is paying, I'm paying a monthly premium for a service. And I think we have to go into that mindset, not being afraid to ask questions. So, yeah, you gotta go in and you need to ask questions. If you don't know what to ask, at least try to have some type of dialogue with your physician as well.
And I had one physician who got a little miffed with me because I think I asked too many questions.
Right.
And I'm bad about getting on the internet and researching, and she's like, stay off of that internet, you know, but sometimes the internet gives you more in-depth understanding of what you're going through, and the doctor comes in and they're out.
Yep.
And they give you some paper, you don't understand what all these numbers mean. And so you need to take responsibility for your own health to make sure you're okay, because I got frustrated with one doctor, and I said, you know, I don't want to go back to that person because I've been coming in and we've been having nice chats, and but you've been leading me to believe that I'm okay, and then things get more involved later, and I'm just frustrated because I felt like if you're more serious telling me, look, this is happening and you need to do this, 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 so we can stop this, it might not have gotten so far. But it's important, and I guess I take this seriously because you have one life to live. And so you have to take care of yourself, you have to be vigilant, like you say, ask those questions, because if you don't, many times you go home with the same ailments. I get so frustrated sometimes. I say, I'm not going to the doctor because they're just going to do the same thing, and I'm going to come home and I'm still going to be sick. So, very good. Anyone want to add?
I had a friend of mine's had it was taking a lot of medicine, and I was like, what is all this for? I don't know. I said, okay, bring all your medicine, put it on the table. And I said, you call it out, and I'm going to write it down. Once I look it up, what's it for? So when we did it, he was actually taking 3 meds for the same thing. And what I did, I wrote it out, and I say, I'm going to type this for you. And when you go back to your doctor, you hand this to your doctor and say, why am I taking the same medicine for 3 different meds for the same thing? And so the doctor was not the happiest person, because he was like,
but you did the right thing.
But he was like, man, kind of got mad. I said, well, that's what you're supposed to find out. Why are you taking it? And I mean, that's just the thing I tell anybody. If you give me something, I'm going to go and read and see exactly what it is.
That's right.
The pharmacist is going to give it to you anyway, but still go look yourself also. But that was just one of the things that I think we need to make sure we always do that. Just what are you taking it for?
That's right. We have to really be active in our own health care.
Right.
We really do. Would you like to talk a little bit more about that?
We have to be our own case managers or advocate for our health care, and we don't need to be afraid to call if we have a problem and do, like you said, look at if the doctor's giving you 3 medications for the same problem, and if you feel like the medication may be causing some problem, we don't need to be afraid to say, I think my medication is causing me some problems.
That's right. And a lot of times, sometimes the doctors won't believe you. They won't believe you that this medicine makes my back hurt every time I take it. So find you another doctor. Fire that one. Because it's so funny. The Zantac case that came out, I was on Zantac, and for the acid reflux or whatnot, and I would say, this makes my back hurt every time I take it. But they say, oh, no, it's no studies. And now we have a big Zantac lawsuit causes cancer and all these other problems, and now they've taken you all off. But at one time I went to a pharmacy, and they said, oh, no, don't worry about that. You can still take. I'm not taking anything. I mean, that's what you're dealing with, though, with the healthcare profession. Sometimes the doctors are getting paid to push these drugs to you. They get paid for that. And sometimes it's just up to us to check into these medications to see what side effects they could cause, or the risks, too great. You fix one thing, you have another problem. So you really have to pay attention. You really do. So I just want to encourage people to take care of yourself by educating yourself.
I just want to say a little tip for women who are going through these hot flashes because I started at 35, having hot flashes, night sweats, all of that. And my husband got me this book, and it's called The Second Spring. And the gentleman that wrote it, and I can't think of his name, but you all can look that up. But he gives some good tips on how you can navigate yourself through this time, because it's really, it's not fun. And one thing I learned from a lady, I was at a conference, and she said, and she saw me, we were both like, whew, I was Spanish, she was Spanish, and she was like, get some ice and put it inside your bra. And so I did that, and y'all, I calmed down, I was so cool. I mean, just those little tips, because, a lot of women, and like, some people don't experience it at all. I don't think Shirley, because she's sitting over here all the time. Some people don't go through that,
right.
but my mom started early, and I keep telling Jasmine, get ready. She said, Mama, that's not going to happen to me. But I'm just saying, just be proactive, like all of them were saying.
And it was funny that time, Sister Carla, we had our women's meeting, and I was just a fan, and Carla said, hurry up, get us some ice chips. What ice chips for? And it worked. It really worked. It's like, she the expert now, huh? Let everybody call Sister Carla.
You know what? I think I'm so far back, they weren't having them back then.
You dodged a bullet.
I never have.
Oh, you've been blessed.
That's a blessing.
I don't have a button.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
One thing I had to do, I'm not one that like too many clothes, and I had to change how I dressed as well, because some fabrics will make you hotter. And less is more is what I say. My husband say, we're not gonna have that. But making sure your fabrics are 100% cotton on your sheets, because those night sweats. Oh my God, keep some water by the bed. One of the things that I've heard, and maybe the physicians can vouch for that, is sugar. Eating things high in sugar, caffeine.
Really?
Is another thing that brings on the hot flashes. So although we don't want to give up those things.
To do those things.
No, to decrease the amount or avoid sugar.
I was about to go.
Sugar.
So avoid sugar, caffeine.
I'm not saying avoid it, because I have a business with baked goods, so I don't want you to avoid that, but maybe decrease. I do notice when I have sugar, I begin to sweat. So it could be, something in that.
Okay. Well, ladies, let's talk a little bit about, our lives are so busy. So how do we make time for prayer, and how do we study our Bible and not feel so overwhelmed with the busy days? We wear so many hats. So what is some advice we can tell women out there to how we can still include God every day in our lives?
I want to just say one thing that I do every day is do positive affirmations to myself. And I just say, I'm anointed, I am blessed, I am more than a conqueror, I am delivered, I am empowered. I just go down the alphabet, and so these things, even if you don't feel that way, and especially now, going through this menopause and everything, you have to say, I am beautiful. You have to tell yourself positive things, and then it will manifest inside of you. That's what I believe.
So, Sister Carla, you say, I is beautiful, I is smart. I is somebody, I is kind. Well, and one of the things too, of course we're busy moms, we're busy all the time, and we wear so many hats and stuff. And when my children were smaller, of course, I was so overwhelmed with the everyday things of life per se. And so I just found time, if you go into the bathroom, you sitting there, you got to pray, right? If you washing dishes, you can pray. And anything else and any task that we, do on a day-to-day basis, we can always incorporate prayer. So, when we find ourselves getting too busy, somebody told me that busy means being under Satan's yoke. So when we find ourselves getting too busy, then we realize that we have to stop, and then we have to realize, hey, no, I'm going to make time for God. I'm going to make time for prayer, because when we make time for prayer, everything don't seem so overwhelming, because he gives us grace, in order to do the things that we need to do on a day-to-day. So grace is sufficient.
That's right. Tell us about, why is it so hard sometimes, it seems, for women to support one another in the ministry? Anyone want to take that one?
I'm going to pass the mic.
Don't jump. Pastor Nesby will talk about that one.
Don't let the title fool you. Can you repeat the question, please?
Why is it so hard for women to support one another in the ministry? Why? In life.
It's your character.
Okay.
Okay? Those type people don't have great character and integrity. For me, it's not an issue with supporting anyone, their ministry, their business, just being there as a friend. I don't have a problem with doing that. I think one of the things that we've seen in ministry so much is that you have people that take advantage of or try to pimp your gift, if you will. They try to pimp that anointing. And I was laughing. I hope she didn't take offense to it. They said, what we gonna call you? I said, what capacity am I working in today? I mean, because I probably have on 50 hats a day. So if you want the pastor, that's what I'll give you. If you want the prophet, well, if the Lord speaks, that's what you'll get. Otherwise, it's just two old girlfriends that have reconnected from childhood and be that type person. And I'm so happy that we have reconnected. And so, I just have a problem with people. I think a lot of it is jealousy.
Yes.
And it's like crabs in a barrel. It's not just women, but it's horrible for the men as well. But we all have to learn how to support one another. Right. No one person is bigger than the other one. I may have been on some stages that you may have not been on, or you're doing something that I haven't done. And we need to come together, and if we put that energy together, we can conquer a lot of things.
And I think it's important to stay humble,
Oh, absolutely.
No matter how high you rise, if you stay humble and treat people as you wish to be treated,
That's right.
You can't go wrong with that.
That's right.
Exactly.
You can't go
I
wrong with
posted
that.
something the other day, and it stated that, and somebody kind of was like, who you talking about now? Because it was, and I was like, the one thing that I don't do, I don't compete with other people, because God only made one of me. That was just one of the things. And we are unique in our own way. And that's one of the things, I have a friend girl that wrote a book, and you would have thought I wrote that book. Because, I was there every step of the way. When she say I'm releasing it, I done took pictures in my front yard with the book. She's like, I might need to use this. But it's that kind of thing, that sisterhood that we gotta. And I'm one of them ones, if I think this sister right here got it going on. When I looked at her, when she walked in, I said, everybody can't wear that. I am one of those kind of people that if I see you walking around, and if it's something I just think you drop dead gorgeous, I love my man. But I'm gonna tell a sister, you beautiful. You can't. Everybody can't do it. Which means it's some stuff I know I shouldn't be wearing. And I mean, let's just be real. And sometimes I'll be like, Lord, now they know they ain't supposed to be in there. But I don't say nothing. But I try to stay in my lane. But I don't have a problem by giving another sister. When I first saw you, the first night I saw you, I said, that's one of the beautiful women I've seen. You just have this glow about you. I don't have no, look at, I mean, it's genuine. Your face goes with your personality. And I mean, that's the first time we came to this church and I saw you and Pastor Jordan. But I don't have a problem about doing that. I am grateful for my grandmother because that woman, when I was little, I was still dark as I am now. I had coal black hair, but I had the gray started in the center of my head. Now, my daddy was not, he's a Christian, but wasn't that Christian of a man. People will walk up and say, you know, she sure is pretty to be, no, where she get all that pretty hair from to be so black? Oh my God, my daddy would just say some things, y'all, and I'd be saying them like, no, don't say that to him, because I knew what was coming. But my grandmother, she called me and she would say, come here, and she would press my hair, and it was so hot, she would put a towel under my head because my hair hold heat even now. But her whole thing was, and what she embedded into me was, what you got is God gift to you, and only to you. She say, you are the darkest grandchild that I got. She say, but as you get older, your hair will be as white as it could be. She say, don't mess with it. She said, what you gotta do, you gotta carry yourself the way God has made you. She said, when you walk into a room, people are gonna remember you by your sure presence. When it first happened to me, I was at the Attorney General's office at a statewide mental health meeting, and when I walked into the room, and then Attorney General Hood say, how you doing today? Oh, you back? And I'm like, oh, you know me? But it's just important to have that wisdom and them seasoned saints that sit around and, you know, will pull your coattail and say, hey, sister, look, I need you to do this, that. But that's important, that we gotta, you know, respect our seasoned saint. Don't be ashamed to go to them and say, look, sir, I got a problem and I don't know what to do. What's your advice? Now, sometimes they tell you some stuff, you leave your head scratching like, what exactly that mean? But as the time go on, you will see it.
Well, you know, we have just got to learn how to support each other.
That's
and
right.
be happy for each other.
That's right.
If you have something successful, I'm just elated for you. And you have got to share that joy. When someone is having a good moment or a great achievement, share that joy with them. They work very hard. They deserve all the accolades they get. So I am just, you know, I think we just need to find more grace amongst each other, to share with each other, and be happy, truly happy for one another.
That's right.
And the other thing I think is, if someone is doing something that you really admire, try to learn how to do it yourself.
That's right.
Get with that person. You know, talk to that person and ask, how'd you do that? Teach me. Yeah, teach me.
Can, you know, and I, you know, over the years too, have seen that nobody can beat me at being myself.
There you go.
You know, God only made me,
That's right.
and He made you. And can you just imagine what the world would be like if we were all the same? You know, we all have, we all have differences. So, you know, be who God created you to be. That's who He created you to be, your personality, how you walk, how you talk, how you communicate with somebody. He made you that way and to be a blessing to somebody else. So be the best you that you can be.
That's right. Well, we have thoroughly enjoyed our Women's Roundtable discussion. We've been so excited that you guys have joined us for this, and we want to see you back again. Now remember, our mistakes, our failures, our poor choices don't have to keep us from the love of our Father. With God, it's not about the way you start, but it's how you finish. Receive His grace and mercy today and embrace the bright future He has in store for you. Good night.